Good Tuesday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. I'm your meteorologist, Jesse Peterson, and let's go in and talk about the weather for your Tuesday evening going into your future. We have some stuff that we are going to go on and talk about tonight. But before we go on and get to that, if you have not, yes, if you have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. Right now we have around a good, around a good 5 people in here and only 2 likes so far. So if you are a part of that group, that have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. Also, if you've not hit the subscribe button yet, go on and do so. We're at 702 trying to get to 800. And then share. Share with your friends, family members, acquaintances, people they don't even talk to like that. Because it helps the channel grow and it helps us out over here. That, and then what are we going to be talking about for tonight? Well, number one, we're obviously going to talk about the main stuff, that being the current conditions for what's currently going on, weather for tonight, our weather for tomorrow, and then you can see what's on tap. That being the short-term future and the long-term future. Warm and breezy Wednesday tomorrow with the scattered rain from a cold front. Thursday, dry and cooler post-frontal, and then rain chances build late week into the weekend, peaking late Saturday into Sunday. So that's the main things that we are looking at right now. So let's go on and look at the current conditions. Well, currently right now there is indeed nothing going on right now throughout the entire state of South Carolina. We are nice and dry right now. But if we scroll our way out, see what's going on right now throughout the entire U.S., we do in fact have some rainfall and some snowfall going on. You have snowfall going on up here inside the Northeast, maybe with some sleet with it, some mixed precipitation with it. Rainfall also going on down here inside of the South Central U.S. as well as the Deep South, going inside of the more Tennessee Valley areas, going up into Kentucky. And then just a mix of rain and snow going on over here inside of the southwestern U.S. We also do have some snowfall going on inside of Michigan, maybe even over there inside the UP of Michigan. Rainfall even going on over here inside of the Rockies with some snowfall as well. What about for our cloud cover? Well, cloud cover right now actually is bringing some pretty heavy cloud cover activity throughout a good amount of the state. All areas are receiving cloud cover right now, so that's not, too out of the question. I mean, that's not too out of the ordinary, as we expected that this morning. We expected to see cloud cover going into tonight, and so even as you're going to push this forward even more, all the way through 11 o'clock p.m. going to 4 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning going on to 11 o'clock in the morning, you can see tomorrow, I mean, we're still seeing cloud cover. You going all the way to 4 o'clock p.m., moving to 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock p.m., going even to 11 o'clock p.m. to 12 o'clock in the morning. Cloud cover now is now pretty much just completely moving its way off of the coastal areas by 12 a.m. here on Thursday morning. This is, then as you continue your way through, go to Thursday, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, even going to 9 o'clock in the morning. Cloud cover now really just up there inside the upstate a little bit more, but it does seem, for the most part, even as you get into Thursday afternoon, that cloud cover will be trying to make a little return, but then as you get into the evening, it kind of goes back to being clear. So cloud cover is going to be all over the place throughout the next 48 hours or so. Current temperatures right now, definitely a lot more lighter than usual. You have around 56 in Somerville, 57 in Charleston, as well as 57 in Georgetown, 56 Beaufort, and 59 inside of Murray's Inlet, 57 in Myrtle Beach, and 59 in Conway, 62 in Florence and Orangeburg, as well as 62 in Columbia, 61 Aiken, and 61 inside of Newberry, 61 in Greenwood, and 61 also inside of Lawrence, 60 Greenville, 61 also inside of Spartanburg, Gaffney, and 60 inside of Clemson, York, and Rock Hill. Now for your air quality, everybody's inside of the moderate category. The moderate category meaning that for the most part, it just looks like that we're kind of in between that area of unhealthy for sensitive groups and then also just good. So you see up there on the top right part of your screen. Now what about for your low temperature for tonight? Definitely a lot better than what we have been seeing. You have low temperatures around, 56 in Greenville, in Spartanburg, 56 Rock Hill, as well as 56 in Chirag, 56 in Florence, and 56 in Sumter, 57 inside of Orangeburg, and 55 in Walterboro, 57 in Barnwell, and 55 in Hilton Head Island, 53 in Charleston, and 53 in Georgetown, 56 Aiken, and 56 also inside of Greenwood, 54 inside of Myrtle Beach. Now, what about for your high temperatures for tomorrow? High temperatures for tomorrow look like around a good 68 inside of Spartanburg, 68 Greenville, Rock Hill, 67 in Chirag, Florence, 68 inside of Sumter, 66 in Georgetown, Kingstree, 68 in Moncks Corner, even around a good 67 in Charleston, 71 in Walterboro, 65 in Myrtle Beach, 70 Hilton Head Island, and 71 in Barnwell. Now, if we go on and look at your rainfall, as we go throughout tonight going into tomorrow, good amount. 100th of an inch to a 10th of an inch for places like Greenville, Rock Hill, Anderson, Lawrence, Winsboro, Camden, Chirag. All of these areas have 100th of an inch to a 10th of an inch, even over there near Hilton Head Island. 10th of an inch to a quarter of an inch also possible for Greenwood, Newberry, Columbia, Sumter, Kingstree, Myrtle Beach, Moncks Corner, Charleston. Quarter of an inch to a half an inch possible down there as well for Georgetown, and maybe even a couple of other areas as we go throughout the next 24 hours or so. So, no snowfall or anything like that. So, we don't have to watch out for that at all. But we do, just have to watch out just for that scattered shower activity. Now, in terms of your crazy score, if you have no idea what the crazy score is, it is a score that we see how crazy the weather is right now throughout the entire state of South Carolina. And right now, we are at a good 18. We're at a good 18 right now. Why are we at an 18? Well, for the very simple reason of it's not really going to be too much of anything tonight. Most of that rainfall is going to appear late tonight, going into like early tomorrow morning, going into later into the afternoon. So most of that rainfall isn't really going to happen until later. Now, in terms of temperatures, obviously temperatures are not as cold as well, so that also doesn't bring it that low, that high, excuse me. And then, it kind of fits that mild category as well for cloudy conditions. Cloudy conditions also is in the forecast as well. But that's all I really have to say there in terms of the crazy score. What about the SPC outlook? Thunderstorms not expected tonight, tomorrow, Thursday. We are all good and good to go throughout here for thunderstorm activity. Fire weather, same thing. Excessive rainfall, same thing. We are all good here. So let's go ahead now and look at the models. Models, time is at the bottom part of your screen. Make sure you go ahead and pay attention to that because that is very important. We're going to start off here tonight, 9 o'clock p.m. You want to push this forward all the way through. Here's 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. You can see rainfall now going on throughout, Georgia. You see rainfall going on throughout North Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama at 3 o'clock in the morning. You start to see some minor shower activity start to make its way into the state by 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, maybe even by 4 o'clock as well. And you have just isolated shower activity. You move on, here's 6 o'clock in the morning. Now you have isolated to pretty much just light scattered activity going on throughout the upstate, throughout the Midland areas, throughout the Western PD areas, and maybe even a little isolated shower down there inside of near the coastal areas if it reaches far enough at 6 a.m. Now, if you push this forward even more, all the way to 8 o'clock in the morning, you have shower activity going on. Now kind of moving its way away from the upstate and more into the Midlands, into the PD areas, but the upstate still won't be done. 10 o'clock in the morning. Now pretty much almost all regions are receiving rainfall. When I say all regions, I mean just the 4 main or the 5 main being the Grand Strand, PD, Low Country, Midlands, and then the upstate. Now, does that mean everybody's receiving rainfall? No, there are a lot of good dry areas as well. But that's just as of 10 a.m. Now, if you push this forward even more, here's around 1 o'clock p.m. Now you have rainfall. Now really just again throughout the Midlands, throughout the PD areas by 1 o'clock p.m. Going all the way to around 4 o'clock p.m. Now we have rainfall still in those same areas for the most part. And then by time we get to around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock p.m., we now have maybe even some rainfall, maybe some downpours. Heavy rainfall potentially possible inside the low country areas by around 6 o'clock p.m. going near to like 8 o'clock p.m. until finally it moves out by 9 o'clock p.m. And then we're nice and dry all the way through the rest of Wednesday. Thursday, we look dry. That cold front moves its way through, and we stay dry all the way throughout the majority of Thursday. So a lot of things to go on and look at here. And for the most part, I think that as this rainfall just continues to move its way throughout the state tomorrow, that it's going to try to almost gain intensity. Now, I don't mean like thunderstorm wise, but if you look at it like compared to like the morning, here's Wednesday at 10 o'clock in the morning, you don't really see too much yellow. You don't see too much of anything like orange. You see green. But then as you push your way throughout the day, you can start to see 2 o'clock starts to turn more heavier. You get to around, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock here, and we now see, maybe some moderate to heavy rainfall going on over inside the low country here. So, we'll see what happens tomorrow, and especially with the models tomorrow morning, we'll see how it looks. But prepare for a rainy day tomorrow. Prepare for that. Now, if we go in and look at the dew points as well, so we can go in and see what this cold front is doing, because we will have a cold front passing us tomorrow. Start off here at 10 o'clock p.m. You go on and push this forward. You can see for the most part here's 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock a.m. Still mostly warm air over us, but as we get throughout the day, you can see that cold front easily here on the map. You can easily see where the cold front is. 6 o'clock p.m. We have that dry air now moving down throughout the upstate, moving through the Midlands by around 9 o'clock, the PD areas by around 9 to 10 p.m., and then it moves throughout like the Grand Strand areas by around 10 to 11, low country later into the night. And then we remain dry all the way throughout, even into Thursday. Now, what about for our long-term future? So we're going to start off here at the 54-hour mark. This is where we literally just left off on. We're going to start off here, and as we go on and push this forward, you can see obviously that cold air from the cold front here, causing some cooler conditions, but I want you to look for this little system right here. This goes all the way into Sunday at 1 o'clock in the morning. You have heavy downpour activity, maybe even some severe weather going on over inside of Louisiana, Arkansas, maybe in eastern Texas a bit before this. But, going to Mississippi, 4 o'clock in the morning, going through Alabama around, 6 to around 10 o'clock in the morning-ish on Sunday. And then by the time you get to around, probably around, even as early as around 4 to 7 a.m., you have rainfall from this system in front of the actual main line. But it really gets into effect by the time you get to around 1 to 4 o'clock p.m., to where you start to see rainfall now throughout the upstate, throughout the Midlands, throughout the PD areas as well. And then once you get to around 1 o'clock in the morning on Monday, it kind of starts to lessen out, and, we're completely done with that system by around 7 o'clock p.m. So, we were talking about severe weather with this yesterday, with this system, and then I think there was another one right after. If you're going to push through Tuesday, fine. Wednesday of next week, fine. Actually not really showing too much. So I think it was just this main system right here that we were looking at, but this weekend is what I'm talking about. So if you go in and check it out, you see that the rainfall, that the convection, that stuff is there, but it just matters, will the intensity be there? You look at it all the way through 4 o'clock p.m., 7 o'clock p.m., going all the way to 10 o'clock p.m. It kind of seems to break itself down as you get more into Sunday evening, going into Sunday night. It just looks like just shower activity. Now, you obviously can't just look at this map and say, oh, it's not going to thunder at all, because obviously you can't just look at rainfall on a radar map and say, oh, that's a thunderstorm right there. That's not how that works. You have to obviously go into the ingredients with it. And so, if you go on and look at that, we can go on and look at that. Do we have the moisture? The moisture is there for the most part, especially over here in the low country, Grand Strand areas. We have dew points up in the 60s. Do we have the winds up in the atmosphere? Do we have the current up inside the atmosphere? Seems like we do. We're in the 60s for a lot of us. Good amount of us in the 50s in terms of knots. And then if we go on and look at the actual severe weather energy surface-based CAPE isn't really there that much. You see a little bit. This goes into 4 o'clock p.m. And if I go in and click on it and actually look, it doesn't really say anything in terms of severe weather. Nothing really screams at me and says severe weather here. So, you know, I don't really think for right now that this is really going to cause any severe weather that much, just because the cape and the energy with it is actually not really even there that much. But that's just what I think. That's just what I think. But if we go on and look at even further into the future, past this whole system right here, if you go on and look at the rainfall, if you just go on and continue to push this forward, it looks like that dry condition will continue after that weekend system is done. We go in dry next week. You're on Tuesday, going into Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday, we may have some isolated showers, scattered shower activity here going to, Thursday there, and then Friday comes along. And then by the time you make it into around like next weekend, still seems to be relatively dry. But then, we're starting to get into that point now to where we're just way too far out. But if we go into like Monday, we go into Tuesday of February the 24th and the 25th, another potential system there. But that's pretty much all I have to say there. I mean, except for the convection, except for, just for this weekend, there is a little chance for some severe weather, but I'm not really too sold on it right now. And even if I went into the SPC outlook, the CIPS, the CSU models, all of them right now have nothing really in terms of severe weather for us as we go into this weekend. So I think that we're good. Unless the models take a huge shift, I think that we're good in terms of severe weather. Now, if we go and look at temperatures, we're going to start off here Tuesday, 7 o'clock p.m. You go in and push this forward. Obviously, there goes that cold front. We drop down, here's like Thursday, 4 o'clock in the morning, temperatures down to the 40s, the 30s. We go into around Thursday here at 4 o'clock p.m. for our high temperatures on Thursday, up into the 60s and 50s, but nothing too crazy. Then you get into Friday, still 50s, nothing too crazy, some 60s here. But look at this. Going to Saturday, things start to rise up. We get some 60s. We try to get to around, maybe the high 60s in the low country potentially as you get into a Saturday. And if you continue this even forward, high temperatures potentially on Sunday going into the 70s, maybe even the mid 70s for some as we go into Sunday. Now, as we continue through, obviously, that won't last forever. We'll have some 60s again, and maybe, some 70s again. We're starting to get to that point to where, when we get warm air back into the state, temperatures are going to be up into the 60s and 70s at this point. I think we're starting to really try and get to that point now. I mean, even as you go 240 hours out, I know a long ways away. 10 days out into the future that's Friday the 20th here. You see some 80s potentially. We could see our first 80s later this month. It's definitely a possibility. If we go into the European model as well, we go back. We're going to go to the 12Z. Just bring it back a little bit. And if you want to push this forward all the way through, we're going to go into Sunday. Sunday brings obviously some cooler conditions, but it doesn't really bring the warm conditions like the GFS was bringing. I mean, brings some high 60s in some spots, but not as widespread as the GFS made it to seem. But it does still agree that we will still, warm up for a lot of areas. It still sees mid 70s as you go into around almost 10 days out into the future. Does it see 80s like the GFS does? Not really. I mean, close, but not quite. So I think that this one, the Euro may be a little bit more on the cooler side in terms of our long-term future in terms of the temperatures, but not by much. It's almost there with the GFS, though. And I think that that's about all that I have to say in terms of our long-term future. So let's go on now and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on the South Carolina Weather Channel. And let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. Starting off, Mr. Chris says, good evening, everyone. Hope you had a great day. Well, I did. Thank you so much for asking. Maya Lewis says, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I think you meant to say I pray that everyone had a blessed day. Well, thank you so much for that. Mr. Chris says currently 60 degrees here in Moncks Corner and got to 74. Right now at my house, it is around a good 58 degrees right now. And in terms of my temperatures, let me go and check this out right here. Temperatures got to around 75. So a little bit warmer, just a little bit warmer. Now if we go on and check out the next chat, my Aunt Lewis says today in Georgetown was beautiful. Well, thank you so much for that weather update for where you are. It was a very good day today. My Nana says the same thing. Hello, Jay. What an awesome day. Glad to hear that. Hello to you. My Lewis says currently our weather is at 59. Huge warm up from what it was. Mr. Chris also says please remember to go and hit the like button and the subscribe button if you haven't already. Also share with everyone that you know. It is free. And it helps the channel. He's absolutely correct. And you can change your mind at any time. Right now, we have around a good 16 people that have tuned in so far, and we only have 7 likes. If you are a part of that group that have not hit the like button yet, that group of 9 that have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. Dad says, good evening, Joseph, in the 360 Weather family. I trust all is well with you. All is well with me. Thank you so much for asking. And then Mama Lewis says, I pray that you and yours had a beautiful day like we had in Georgetown. Dad says it was yet another gorgeous day here in San Antonio. High of 70, not too bad. A bit gloomy, but thankful nonetheless. Mama Lewis says our temperature got up to around 70 plus today. Dad says according to Alexa, the high for tomorrow will be around 77 with lows in the mid to low 50s. Well, we'll talk about that. I'll talk about that, and we'll see how right Alexa is this time. Has been doing pretty bad the past couple of times that you've been telling me about it, but we'll see. My Aunt Lewis says, I'm so sorry that we'll have some colder weather next week. Well, unfortunately, yeah, we will have some. But, like I said, we're starting to get to that point now to where, when we start to receive those warm air masses, it's not just going to be 50s and 60s. We're going to start getting up to the 70s and potentially maybe even a bit higher. So, we're almost out of winter. We're almost out of here. We just got a little bit more to go. And then, good last time we had it rain, it turned to freezing rain. Mr. Anthony said, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Terrell says, greetings, everyone. Beautiful day here. And then Maya Lewis says, it would be great to get some rainfall. Mr. Chris says, I agree with needed. We absolutely do. If you go on and look at the drought monitor right now, everybody, except for a little bit of counties like northwestern Greenville County, northern Pickens, and Oconee counties, those are the only counties right now that do not have a drought right now. Everybody else is inside of a drought right now. So we're going to continue to hope for that rainfall. And if we do get it, obviously everybody should be thankful for that. Everybody should be wanting rainfall, especially if you're in the drought areas. But that's all that I pretty much have to say there. As we go throughout the chat, I don't see anything else here for me to really talk about. So we're going to go on now and talk about the 4 locations outside of South Carolina. You might be asking, 4 locations outside of South Carolina. What are you talking about? I'm talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these 4 areas is because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly. And because they tune in almost nightly, we go on and give them their forecast for them. And another thing, they also go on and still show their support. Even though their location isn't the main one being talked about, they still show a lot of great support. So we do appreciate that over here on the SC Weather channel. So let's go on and talk about the first location. We've been switching it up the past couple of days. Usually start off with San Antonio first, then go into Raleigh, and then etc., etc. But let's start off with Philadelphia first, then we'll go to Duncan, then we'll go back to San Antonio, and then we'll do Raleigh last. So we're going to start off with Philadelphia first. Low temperatures tonight at 30, high temperatures tomorrow at 40, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 27. Now, in terms of your severe weather, excessive rainfall. I should be here to say the same thing that everyone probably is expecting at this time, but you're not really going to see any terms of any sort of severe weather. So I think that you are good there, but you still have stuff going on for your future, because obviously weather does not end. So you still have stuff going on for your future, and so what does that entail for you? Well, for number one, it looks like that as you go on and continue throughout the rest of the week, that your temperatures actually will be trying to drop a little bit, but then it may try to get back up, like Saturday 43, 42 on Sunday. So, it'll kind of drop down like 35 on Thursday, 36 on Friday, but then, like I said, kind of go back up. And it actually seems like you'll be trying to warm up as you go into next week, like 45 on Monday, 46 on Tuesday. Then as we go into Duncan, Oklahoma, you have low temperatures tonight at 39, high temperatures tomorrow at 62, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 40. There is a chance of showers tonight, but after that, that's it. Tomorrow, precipitation not expected at this time. You will have a rainy weekend, though, and also for Philadelphia, you will also kind of have like a rainy weekend, like Sunday, chance of rainfall and snowfall Sunday going into Sunday night and then going to Monday as well. But I just forgot to say that. But back to Duncan, you will have a rainy weekend. It'll be raining on Friday night, Saturday night, but then kind of end on Sunday. So you will see some rainfall this weekend, and so definitely, hopefully, you had nothing planned for this weekend because it's just overall not looking the best. And in terms of your temperatures, you will also be warming up Thursday 77. Friday 72, but then it'll kind of drop back down to 66 on Sunday, 65 on Saturday, but then it'll go right back up Tuesday 75 of next week. Then for San Antonio, Texas, you have low temperatures tonight at 59, high temperatures tomorrow at around 76, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 58. Alexa was all right. The high for tomorrow, you said around 77. It's 76, so that's 1 degree off with lows in the mid to low 50s. We'll actually have the high 50s, so a bit off there, but for the most part, didn't do as bad as what it said. Not bad for tonight. There is a chance of showers for tonight. Not only tonight, but tomorrow. There is also a chance for some patchy fog. In fact, I'm pretty high confidence on that. Not only for tonight, but also for tomorrow for patchy fog. In terms for your future, you will continue to warm up Friday 81, Saturday 80. You're probably going to be one of the first locations to reach 80 outside of the other 3 locations in South Carolina. So you probably will be the first ones to reach it for this year so far. Unless Duncan has already reached it once. I'm not quite sure. I'm going to have to go back and check. But I think that you probably would be one of the first. And then rainfall, it probably will be raining Friday night going into Saturday, as you have around a 50 to 60% chance there. And then finally, the final area being Raleigh, North Carolina. Low temperatures tonight around 53. High temperatures tomorrow at 66. And then low temperatures tomorrow night at 33. Precipitation not expected for tonight, but tomorrow there is indeed a chance of rainfall. There is a chance of rainfall as you go into tomorrow. So around a 50%, so it's there. It is there, mainly before 10 o'clock in the morning, though, is when it's most expected, but doesn't mean it can rain. It couldn't rain any other day. Does not mean that at all. Rainfall definitely is expected this weekend, though. Sunday, you have an 80%. Sunday night, 80%. And the Saturday night and Monday, 30 to 40%. So that's all I have to say, really, for the 4 locations outside of South Carolina. So let's go on and talk about just in terms of weather news throughout the entire U.S. and, South Carolina and just everything. A Pacific storm will bring low elevation rain and isolated thunderstorms to California tonight. Heavy snow is expected for the Sierra Nevada through late tomorrow. In the Northeast, snow may cause hazardous travel this evening into tomorrow. In Alaska, a powerful storm will bring dangerous seas, blizzard conditions, strong winds, and bitterly cold conditions across the state through mid-week. So a lot of things going on. We also will see some dense fog over there inside of southern Louisiana, southern Alabama, the western panhandle of Florida, southern Mississippi, And then for the most part, nothing else really too crazy. Nothing else really too crazy that I have not said already. But that's all that I have to say. If I go in and check it out, I don't see anything else inside of the chat. So I'm guessing that we are done there. If we go and check out the top fans of the night for tonight, if I go back on and check, it was still, that back and forth in between usually Mr. Chris and then my Aunt Lula. But if I go in and check, I believe Mr. Chris was at number 1 for tonight. My Aunt Lula's at number 2, and then Thad's at number 3. Congratulations to the 3 of you all for being the top fans of the night for tonight. If you want to be a part of the top fans, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. and being active inside the chat, being early, and then also being a subscriber, because all of that helps out. So let's go and give them 3 rounds of applause. And that's all that I have to say for tonight. Make sure that you tune back in tonight. Not tonight, but tomorrow night. Not tonight. I will not be back tonight. Make sure that you tune back in tomorrow night for your Wednesday evening forecast update. We'll be halfway done with the week tomorrow, so that's something good. Already seeming like this week is already starting off quickly, as tomorrow is already Wednesday. And then we'll also be here tomorrow morning for your Wednesday forecast update in general. Make sure that you're there for that, so you know what's going on in terms of the latest rain updates and when you need to be prepared for that. We'll talk about all of that tomorrow morning. And then also hit those 2 buttons before you leave if you're new. That's the like button and the subscribe button if you're new. We're at 702 trying to get to 800. And the optional 3rd button being the share button. Share with your friends, family members, acquaintances, and people that you don't even talk to like that, because it really does help us here grow and helps me get out better content. So I will be back tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning. Make sure before you leave, like I said, if you're new, hit those 2 buttons.